If you're a meat eater and you've been to the grocery store lately, you might have experienced sticker shock, empty shelves, or possibly both. ONR's Jason Doyle examines why and what's being done to bolster and protect the food supply chain in Oklahoma.
Empty shelves in the meat section, a common sight at some grocery stores. Producers say it's a supply chain issue.
More cattle are present because we haven't been able to process those cattle because packing plants have closed down or really drastically reduced their actual output.
All across the country, pork producers are dealing with the challenges that have been created by the coronavirus. In terms of the biggest challenge in front of us today is that the virus has slowed down our ability to process hogs and turn them into pork chops, into bacon, into ham, into the cuts of meat that consumers are used to finding at the grocery store.
Limited supplies cause prices to go up at the grocery store.
So consumers have seen a change not only in price, but probably more importantly in supply, availability of beef. Producers have seen challenges regarding prices, but also regarding supply.
Homeland Acquisition Corporation, the parent company of grocery stores like Homeland, Cash Saver, and United, felt the shortage in two phases. The first, uncertainty over how long a lockdown would last. The second started when school and work became home-based activities.
At the same time, the restaurants were forced to close. And so the demand for food and supplies consumed at home skyrocketed because everybody's at home.
Even as the pandemic struck, Homeland began looking for local alternative ways to supply their stores.
We feel like we've been able to stay ahead of the curve and serve our communities better than some of the larger chains can do, because we're right here in Oklahoma and we have these local partnerships and we move fast.
Increased meat prices hit restaurants as they entered phase 2 of the state's reopening.
What I started to notice about 2.5 weeks ago is I would go into one of the wholesale outlets and look, and they had about half the amount of meat that they used to have. And then I'd go to the other one, and it was about a quarter of what they used to have. But there were multiple things happening at the time.
Cummings says some of those prices will change what restaurants offer.
I'll guarantee you barbecues are not selling brisket. They can't. I mean, literally, they just can't afford to. And you and I haven't had brisket in months, and guess what we want to have? Brisket. And we go, and then we're angry. It really has nothing to do with the poor owner who's been shuttled and now he gets to open back up and can't serve you what you want.
In the meantime, small beef producers like Dunnigan Farms near Guthrie are offering consumers an alternative.
We sell directly to the public. We have been offering quarters, halves, and wholes for several years, and always kicked around the idea of selling by the pound.
Jace Dunnigan wants to reestablish relationships with consumers looking to stock their freezers.
That's a relationship that's been lost over the years, and I think there's a movement right now to reinvigorate that fire and re-foster all those relationships and go back to doing it the way it was.
Dunnigan Farms uses social media and a website to market directly to consumers and answer any questions they have.
And when your name comes up on the order list, we'll have it boxed up. You come pick it up and pay us directly.
The Cattlemen's Association is helping producers like Dunnigan Farms connect directly to consumers.
We initiated a program here, it's been a couple of weeks ago now, that we trying to connect consumers who want to purchase from a local rancher with ranchers who are doing that. That page on our website now is up to 19 pages of producers who sell directly to consumers.
Kelsey says some of those producers told the association within 2 days of the listing, they sold out. The supply chain issue has Congressman Markwayne Mullin's attention, and he's calling for Secretary of Agriculture Sonny Perdue to resign.
Guys, I'm sorry, but it's time for Secretary Perdue to step down. It's time for President Trump to find somebody else to run that ag department that's going to lead in a time of crisis, because that's what leaders do.
In another Facebook post, Mullin said Congress provided aid for producers through the CARES Act, aid that hasn't reached the farms yet.
USDA hasn't moved on it. We just haven't seen we saw a 30,000 foot view of how much money was available, but no process by which we as producers can apply for funding.
Those rules were released this week, and Lindsay says after a quick review, he's afraid the program might come up short.
So the simple fact is the caps that are in place limit the ability of the dollars to really help the producers who have the most invested and the most at risk as we're going through this. I'm not minimizing the small guy. But the average sow farm in the state of Oklahoma is probably 2,000 to 2,500 sows.
Meanwhile, producers will continue to fight their way through the supply chain issues to provide the meat consumers want on their grills and smokers this summer. Jason Doyle, the Oklahoma News Report.